Well, almost a year ago to this very day, Headbangers Ball was backstage at the Roskilde Festival in sunny Denmark, and we were talking to these guys. Actually, we were talking to Lewis and Jason, but today I'm joined by Pat and Jason from Mindfunk. And about a year ago, things were looking very, very bright for the band. They got new members, Jason and drummer Sean, and we had a good chat with you then, although, as I said, it was Lewis and Jason. And the last 12 months have been quite tumultuous for you. Could you tell us about the events leading up to Dropped?
We got dropped.
Well, yeah.
That was pretty much it.
It was on the eve of going in to record the album, right?
We were already there. Yeah, we went to the studio in upstate New York, and we got there, and then our record label Epic decided to tell us then that they weren't going to put out our album, so we got dropped. And then we sat there homeless, penniless, without a label for a week, wondering what we were going to do. And quite frankly, it was one of the most miserable weeks of my life.
I can believe it.
But you know, whatever. We got it together, and I think it was probably, in hindsight, the best thing that ever happened to us, only because at that point, I think that we were all a bit unsure about why we were even doing the band, and it was very difficult just to get to the point of actually recording our record. We really had a difficult time getting along, and we thought, all right, let's just shoot for getting to the studio. And once we got there, to get dropped was pretty unsettling. But then we just decided, look, the thing that would be the most obvious to do would be quit. So we didn't. we went in the studio, and there was a lot of turmoil in the studio. We still weren't getting along, but we went in and recorded our record, and we recorded it live as opposed to doing it drums, bass, guitars, vocals. And I think that had a lot to do with the record coming out the way it did. For better or worse, it would have been a different album, I think. And like I said, it's still no bed of roses, but we're here, and we just take it day by day now.
So obviously Dropped, the new album title, is just a little bit sarcastic. Now, you fortunately had a lot of support from people outside the band, like management and also producer Terry Date. Did that give you a lot of extra kind of confidence to know that people were so committed to your music?
Yeah, definitely. Terry was really supportive because he had every right, and probably any sane person would have just pulled out right there, but Terry got us another studio and stuck with it, and he has a lot to do with the project getting done, him and our manager, Johnny.
So obviously you just had Jason and Sean in the band, and obviously, as you said, a very, very difficult time for you. Do you think that ultimately it's made you all a stronger unit, made you gel together a lot more?
We're like a jelly that never sticks, basically. I don't think we've gelled together any better. I think that what we've learned is that, you know, we don't necessarily get along that well, but we've learned to, for the most part, accept that, and we realize that ultimately the music is the only thing that really matters, and sometimes we don't even like our music, but we still do it, and we try to do it the best we can. We've tried to put some egos into check, but it's still running a little rampant. But, you know, whatever. I mean, at least we're trying to be a band that's trying to stay honest about what we're doing. And I mean, as far as, like, we could sit here and say we're a happy family and all that crap, but we're not, you know. We don't get along most of the time. But like I said, you know, most bands don't, and they just lie about it and say they do, and ultimately, you know, at least we know that the end, when it happens, it's ultimate anyway. I mean, it's inevitable. Not ultimate, it's inevitable. And I think that has made us closer, just because I think everyone allows everyone to do their own thing, and
you have a bit of space for everybody.
Yeah, you know, this is our second show since Roskilde, which was a year ago. Yeah. So I mean, we've had a lot of space. I mean, we put out our record, and we had a hard time even dealing with getting that done. So we're trying to be a little more accepting of one another, but we don't see eye to eye on a lot of things. We don't see eye to eye on most things, actually. And we just, like I said, we do it day by day, every day. I think everyone feels like quitting, but yet we don't. So
good. Well, I'm very glad that you have hung in there. A very candid and frank words from Pat, and we're going to talk to Pat and Jason very shortly. We're going to have a commercial break now. We'll be back with more from Mindfunk after that, and also, of course, a full live performance from the Dynamo Festival in Holland. So stay tuned for that. There you go, that was Thunder with their brand new single Like a Satellite, released to coincide with their appearance at the Don Valley Stadium show with Def Leppard happening this very Sunday. They're rocking out over in Sheffield. But the Headbangers Ball is on location at the Dynamo Festival in Holland. The sun is shining and we're back with Mindfunk. Just before the break there we were talking to Pat and Jason about the new album Dropped, and we'll talk a little bit more. The album does have some very aggressive and kind of a lot of aggression and frustration in it. You obviously recorded it under a lot of pressures, as you said. How do you feel about it when you look back on it, knowing what you went through to make it?
Actually, the making of it was probably the easiest thing we did. I didn't really feel like I was under really that much pressure. That probably had a lot to do with Terry, but it was actually easier. We didn't have a label, so we were in there recording what could have been probably the most expensive demo tape in history if it didn't come out. But we kind of like, at that point, we didn't really give a shit. We were just like, we went in there and recorded it, and at the end of the day, it was just like, if it never comes out, it doesn't come out. I mean, we did it, and in hindsight, it was, I don't know, it was pretty relaxed, I think. I mean, other than the normal tension that we have with one another, I don't think there was any more tension. It was probably better that we didn't have a label, somebody there asking us what we were going to do for a single, and I mean, who knows? It's just easier that way.
I look back and laugh.
Well, that's good that you can do that. Okay.
Yeah, we look forward and laugh too.
I mean, musically, the first album was fairly eclectic, but to me Dropped seems to be heavier and kind of more down that sort of straight down the line kind of thing. What kind of influence did Jason and Sean have?
I think they changed the band tremendously. You know, I mean, obviously, you know, your drummer's gonna, I mean, he holds down everything or doesn't hold down everything, whichever the case. And I think that Jason, I mean, Sean's an incredible drummer, and I think Jason's a fucking great guitar player. Pardon the prefix before the great, but you know, I think that his style in itself, it just pulled us out of, you know, heavy metal, you know, just a little bit. I mean, because it's where we didn't want to be in the first place. And the problem with the first record is you had 5 guys that were thrown together for 3 months and then went and recorded. And I mean, when we were recording that record, to be totally honest, I knew that this wasn't going to be the lineup to finish this band, or at least I wasn't going to be in the finished product, the finished lineup. I think that, but at the same time, I think that, you know, myself and, well, I know that I can't speak for John and Lewis, but I know that, you know, these guys are like more where I was trying to come from, and we needed more of that in our band to balance it out, you know, because it was really lopsided, and I think that it just makes more sense now. And I think that this record, you know, from start to finish, you know, is an album as opposed to like the last one's just 10 songs that don't ever really connect at any point. You know, I think they're just way too frantic and unnerving, and that's not what music is to me. It's just too busy. And I mean, this record even has its points where it's too busy, I think, but it's you know, a little more cohesive than the last one, you know. I think another thing that Jason and Sean brought in the band is, you know, there are people that feed off of, you know, the darker side or whatever, being depressed and frustration, and there's a lot of, most really good art, positive or negative, comes out of that. And I think that this band will probably work best as long as we stay that way. Yeah. And once we fall from that, then we're not going to work at all, you know. And I don't know what the future holds. I mean, you know, this one was called Dropped because we got dropped and that we got our title, and maybe we'll call the next one Miracle because it'll probably be a miracle if we even get that far. You know,
but you've learnt the best way for the band to work together, so you know, that's a good thing to have learnt at this stage of the game.
Yeah, we don't pretend, you know. I mean, we do pretend. I can't say, and we don't walk around to tell each other that we're dicks all the time because, you know, I mean, that's just insane. But I mean, I think everyone kind of feels that, you know. I mean, whatever. I mean, there's a certain amount of hatred, but at the same time, there's a certain amount of, I mean, it's a big joke anyway, right? It's a joke, you know. I mean, so at the end of the day, you know, if it's not with these guys, it was someone else. And I mean, the ultimate situation would be for everyone to get along, but that's not the deal. And we'll just, as long as we can make music together and it works, we will. And when it doesn't, we won't.
Okay, very quickly, these songs live, how are they? I mean, you've only played one show. How are they working out live, and how do you feel when you play them live?
Well, the show we played in Wales was really It's really good. I was surprised. There's a lot of people, like the record's only been out 3 weeks, and there's a lot of people singing along. You know, big cheers after the songs, people shouting out song titles from the new album. So yeah, it seemed cool.
All right, well, thanks very much to both of you for joining us here at the Dynamo Festival. You've got a full European tour over the next few weeks, so I hope that it goes well for you, and watch out for the new album dropped, and we're going to see one of the tracks from that right now. This is Mindfunk live on stage at the Dynamo Festival, and we'll be back with more a little bit later on.
She struck me